welcome to the Sacred Hour. I'm your host, Elysia, and I'm thrilled to be joined by my very best friend in all the world, Kimberlie Carlson.
Aw, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here and be your first podcast guest too. I can't wait to see all the amazing things that happen here in your podcast.
Yay! I could have it no other way than having you as my very first guest
Of course.
because we have been on this journey together, well, really for many lifetimes, but since we were kids in this lifetime. We met when we were in high school, 17 years old, on the foot of a mutual friend's bed, and started talking about music, which was our favorite topic back then, and discovered that our favorite band was The Cure. And that was an immediate bond. And we were best friends from that moment forward. People used to call us the Bobbsey twins. And it was the beginning of a lifelong source of joy and happiness and support in both of our lives. We never would have imagined back then that we would be, not only could have imagined that we'd be doing this type of work in the world or living the type of lives that we live, but getting to do so much of it together.
That's my favorite thing. Is that we get to do it together, you know? It's not just life, which we've been doing that together, right? Forever, right? Like you said, since we met. In that house at the end of my block, right between where my house was and where your house was. We were walking distance, and we just needed someone to introduce us, and the rest is literally history. So, we've been doing life together. We've been each other's since so much of our lives, our soul supporters. Just a constant support where we need it through all the hard things, but also through all the good things as well. We've gotten to share in all the things. And
we really have been each other's constant. And, we have gone through more than we could have imagined that we would go through back when we were 17, looking at life, excited for what the future had to bring. And, not all of it was remotely what we could have expected at all. So that friendship, that bond that was formed when we were 17 was so strong that we actually had a period of time where we didn't see each other for 7 years. And we reconnected when I was pregnant with my first daughter, and Kim had 2 daughters. One of them was 3 months old. And we reconnected. And again, we got to live walking distance from each other. And there was a park in between us, and we would meet at that park probably almost every day, and we would take our kids to the park. And it's like we just picked right back up where we left off 7 years later, in much different places in our lives, as new young moms. And at that time, we would, every once in a while, we had little kids, but every once in a while we would get an opportunity to go out to a local pub in the town that we lived in, and we would share some beers and a pizza, and we would talk about all the things that we were dealing with in our lives. And we would also talk about each other's religious beliefs, because that was a big sort of point of contention. It was difficult for us because our beliefs did not line up. And that was sort of a foretelling. We were talking about this earlier, how that discord that we felt in the difference in our beliefs was sort of a foretelling of how important it is for us personally to have that connection, to have that coherence in our belief system, because we were to go on to create all these things together and do all this work together. So we didn't understand it at that time, but we would go, for the couple hours that we would have free, and we would literally cry because we wanted to have that coherence in our worldview, and we didn't have
Mm.
it.
It
Um,
was so hard to like fathom that we could be so deeply connected on like all these levels and so close, right? And this, matching resonance, matching belief systems in all these ways and areas, except this one place, right? And so we'd actually spend time even trying to convince each other that that our religion was the true religion, even, or was right for this reason or that reason. And really, it was just this drive to want to match spiritually, And now we can look back at that and understand that what was underneath that driving force, it wasn't just, oh, we're best friends, right? And we want to be the same in all these areas and, understand each other and, in all these ways. And this is this one spot, but it was bigger than that. Um, all of
Truly.
that, truly all of that, everything that we thought was so important back then, um, that was in the spiritual sort of arena, if you will, slash religion, right? So much, all of that really ended up crumbling away to make way for our true path, right? That was aligned with who we are on that soul level, which guess what? Was a complete match, right? The same.
Surprise, surprise. Yeah, and
Surprise.
that crumbling away happened for both of us in pretty dramatic fashions.
Yeah.
And we were able to be there for each other. It happened for you first, that you were in the Jehovah's Witness religion. And it came to a point where that was no longer working out for you.
Yes, that alignment just wasn't there. And it wasn't for lack of trying, right? Because I was third generation born and raised in that religion, and my family was my everything, like literally my everything, growing up as a child and, into young adulthood and everything. So, I held tight, really, really, really tight, um, for those reasons, right? For the love of my family. Because in that religion, leaving's not an option, not leaving and maintaining your relationships, even with family. So, yeah, it wasn't for lack of trying.
Yeah. And
I gave it my all, like my all out. Alicia knows,
yes, you
um,
did.
to make that my path. I really
Yeah.
did. And in fact, you mentioned we were on a break from each other for 7 years. Why was that? Well, it might have had something to do with exactly that, that religion and me trying so hard to stay that course and make that mine, right? I married a man who was also just like me, third generation born and raised, Jehovah's Witness. And within that sort of structure and the way they husband and wives work together in that religion, he basically, the man lays down the law, right? And the head of the household and all of that. And he said, Alicia's not a Jehovah's Witness, and you guys cannot be friends.
Yeah,
Literally.
it was
I
very
mean,
dramatic. And that's kind of the general rule, right? In that
yeah,
religion. Your parents made an exception for me because they thought I was so wonderful
adorable. Adorable. Who can't
that
love
he
you?
wasn't willing to make that same exception. He saw that as a threat,
Yeah,
that might take you away from the religion
absolutely.
and from
Yeah.
him. So he cut he cut me out. And that's how strongly you were committed to trying to make this work for you because it was all
Yes.
you. And
I
how
didn't,
often do we hold
yeah.
on to something that's not good for us, that's not right for us, that's not in alignment with our soul because it's all we know, or
Yeah.
because we're afraid to let go, or, because somebody else is expecting it of us. Where are we doing that right now? You're listening, where might that be happening for you?
Yeah.
It might be in a smaller way, but eventually it came to a head where you couldn't live that way anymore.
No, I mean, everything rose up within me into like a big sort of crescendo, right? Of where everything inside of me was just screaming, what do no, just no, really. If you want to put it to one word, it's just enough. No,
Yeah.
I can't live this way, because it's not who I am. It's just not who I am. And I'm having to say no to who I am in order to stay here and do these things, right? So, um, you know, that 7 year break, that was such a long time, but also kind of a blip now in hindsight, like
Totally a blip. Yeah, I forget
decades.
about it. I
I
forget about
know, I
the
forget about
7
it
break.
too, but what was so incredible is, we understand the way we look at life, right? The way we look at from that sort of higher lens, through that higher lens, that higher perspective or bigger picture. There were things you needed to go do, and there were things I needed to go do and learn about myself, learn about yourself, for us to be able to come back together in that divine right timing to step
About that. Yeah. And
to
we can
step
see
onto our
that in
path.
hindsight. Yes, to step
Yeah,
into our path. Exactly. And, when you left the religion because of the
yeah,
way that it's structured, that meant that you were losing contact with 99.9% of the people in your life. And
yeah,
I was one of the only people not, because of course I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness, And so
yes.
I was able to hold your hand through that.
We were
And
back together at this point, just so
we're back
you know.
together. We've been back together, what? Not that long, actually. I've never really thought about that, the timing of that. It was only
Short.
a couple of years, 2 years maybe
Tops.
at the most.
I think I
Maybe
was
less than that. A year
I
and a
think
half
I was
maybe.
28. I was 28 or 29 when I left, and I was disfellowshipped. So, yeah.
So I had to come back into your life. I actually have goosebumps right now.
Oh
And
my
I've never
gosh.
thought about the timing of this before. But we had to come back together because this was all
Mhm.
going to happen. So
Yeah,
bringing it back to divine timing, that's divine timing I never even thought about before.
I
So,
know. I
you,
That's incredible. I have goosebumps too.
wow.
And I'm thinking about being in our small little town and being in the Rite Aid in our small little town. And I saw your aunt in the store. And this is when we hadn't 7 years,
We
no,
hadn't
no,
seen each other in
no,
7 years.
no being together. Yeah. And remember how I was saying earlier, like that everything in me screamed no? Well, when I saw your aunt, she looked at me, I looked at her, we said hi to each other, and then we moved on. And I circled down the aisle, and everything in me again shouted, "Wait, stop," And I ran back to your Aunt Carol. And I said, "Wait, I need Alicia's phone number. I need to talk to Alicia." And that was it. And that's when I put my foot down and I said, "That's enough of the rules. Rules be gone. Like I
Gone. Yeah.
need my best friend." And it was a huge driving force. So yeah, no more
Yeah.
breakups.
And you lived in the small town that we went to high school in. I didn't live
Yeah,
there anymore, but really shortly after that, I moved back.
yeah,
Um, and had my first daughter, and we got to raise our kids together. And we lived maybe 2 or 3 blocks from each other. This park was in the middle. We'd meet at the park, and really special times and special memories.
yeah,
So anyway, fast forward, you've been disfellowshipped, you've left the religion, you're beginning to really explore other things. Your mind was open to
yeah,
other possibilities, because when you're in a religious environment, oftentimes you're not allowed to look at or explore or think about other ideas, because it's considered, a threat, danger. And
not
so
allowed at
you were
all.
outside of that construct now. So you began to look at other things, and,
Yeah,
had some introductions to some other ways of thinking that you started to explore. And then fast forward another few years. How many years now down the road? That would be, it was a few years, maybe 6, 7 years later. the bottom fell out, maybe even a little bit longer than that. The bottom fell out of my life in a very big way that I shared on my last episode. Um, and you were there for me, where, I, through a very many different series of events, which I often refer to as the perfect storm of awakening for me, one of the things that happened was I was no longer able to believe the things that I considered true for my whole life. And that was scary and terrifying. And, it wasn't that I had a bit of a different experience from you. It wasn't that my soul was screaming no for all these years and I was trying to conform. I conformed because that's what I believed. But then all of a sudden, in like a very short amount of time, some things happened to where I wasn't able to believe that anymore. And I had to search and seek and figure out, well, if this isn't true, what is true?
Yeah.
And, through that process, my family didn't know what to do with me. I didn't lose my family in the way that you did, not being allowed to speak to me anymore, but they didn't know what to do with me. And when, you're confronted with someone who is not believing the same way as you, that makes you bump up against your own beliefs and it's uncomfortable. So, by and large, my relationship changed very quickly with my family. And I actually moved out of the state. I talked about this in my last episode a little bit, to try to gather myself and figure out, what do I, same way as you. Okay, if this isn't true, what is true?
Yeah.
And, exploring everything I could get my hands on. And you were there for me in that time. And because you understood everything that, much of what I was feeling and
Yeah.
experiencing, and, introduced me to some amazing concepts that really supported me and helped me through that time. And so we started to get more on the same page, right? With our beliefs, with our worldview, with our spiritual views. And we started to even take some classes together, some healing modality classes together. We took some theta healing classes together to become practitioners, different various levels of that modality. And then we went to get certified to be instructors of theta healing. That was a very fun and interesting experience. We got to be in that place in Montana. I think it was for about 2 weeks together, taking some
Yep.
pretty intense classes with Deanna Stibble, the creator of theta healing, and many other classes and things that we were exploring that began to really put us on the same path that has continued up until this point. So we were gathering all these tools. We were using these tools to support ourselves and
Yeah.
our own families. And there was a lot that we went through in that period of time, between leaving the religions to learning these healing modalities. We went through deaths, divorce, moving, uprooting my family, moving out of state, moving back, moving back to Washington State. And we really were able to support each other through all of that. And one of the ways that we were doing that was with a handful of tools that we had. It was, looking back, it's like, if you had one tiny tool in your hands and you're trying to do everything with it, compared to the going to Home Depot and having everything available to you. We were trying to do everything with basically one tiny tool. And we wanted more. And, we were exploring these things. We'd do sessions for each other. We'd do, sessions for our kids. And it just wasn't happening fast enough. It was clunky. It was time consuming. And so we started looking at ways, well, how can we tweak this? What can we do different here? We took some more classes that opened our eyes more to what's possible out there, what we can do in an instant, really.
Yeah.
In an
We
instant.
started learning about all the different types of energy patterns that are out there, out there, out there in here, micro,
Here.
macro, right? That create distortion, right? That keep us bound or kind of stuck or trapped in cycles, patterns that some are good, right? Creating good results, and some are, we don't really label them bad, but um,
unwanted
unwanted,
experiences.
painful, challenging, and even into the realm of downright miserable, right? Misery. So as we've just expanded our understanding about this world of energy that we live in, right? And what, kind of how to identify the different main types of patterns that are causing our problems, basically, whether it's belief systems, beliefs that are shaping our reality, or unhealed trauma, old wounds, right? Collections
Unprocessed
of
emotions.
dense emotions. But there's so many others too that we started to become aware of, and those made a really big difference too. Uh, Not just in our understanding so that we could create tools that take care of them ultimately, just to expand our awareness of what is also, and to help us understand the complexity of us as human beings, and how if you have to look at the whole, it's like that holistic picture, but it's an energy profile. And you have to look at all the patterns, and you need tools that take care of all the patterns simultaneously, or at least the more tools you have that do that, the faster you're going to get from here, which is, challenging, painful patterns and life experiences, to over here, where you've got more quality of life and freedom and joy, and, all those things your heart longs for. And that somewhere inside of you, even when you're over here in the depths and the murk and the mud, you feel they must exist somewhere, right? That
Yeah.
must be
You know,
possible.
we
You
have a
know it.
knowing that
Yeah.
that something else, that something more is possible. And no matter
Yeah.
where you are right now in your life, just sink down into that heart knowing that for you, something more is possible. And sometimes that's all we can hold on to for that
Yeah.
lifeline. And, there were moments that that's all we had to hold on to, was that we knew
Yeah.
something more was possible. And, we would be doing the work and doing the work. And it felt like nothing was changing. It felt like our lives weren't changing. But then 6 months later, we'd look back and, oh, yeah, wait a second. I don't feel that way anymore. I'm not
Right.
experiencing this chaos every
Mm.
day. Maybe
Yeah.
it's once a week now, and where before it was like constant every day, and things did start to change with this, with the tools that we had. But it was over a decade ago that we started, the more we had the awareness of, awareness is key. We have to understand something, be able to break it apart, put it back together before we can really create something with it. Sort of like
Yeah.
learning to read. I often, say in my certification classes, I'm giving you all these what might seem redundant instructions because we need to learn the alphabet before we can learn to read. So we spent all of that time learning these things and practicing these things, really when what it was leading us to that we didn't understand was creating our own modalities.
Yeah.
We had no idea that that's where all of this was leading us to. It just, at times it was exciting. We were making these changes, but it was also frustrating because we wanted more. We knew that more was possible, and we,
Hmm.
we could feel it in our hearts, but we had to understand the inner workings of healing and energy and all these and patterns, and what is it that causes the issues in our lives. They're
Yeah.
complex. They have many different roots across many different areas, and we had to understand all of those things before we could then begin working with that understanding and begin to
Yeah.
create our own tools. And so we began to do that, and it was blowing our minds with what was happening, how rapidly our own lives were changing.
Hmm.
And that was just with one or two, what we called back then, scripts, which are now Sacred Light Level 1 healing tools. There's eight healing tools dealing with the different various energy patterns, beliefs, emotions, trauma, the relationship connections that we have with not only other people, but everything in our life. Oath vows and contracts, energetic oath vows and contracts, even dense energy patterns like entities, energetic implants, portals that, some of them are positive, some of them are not something we want in our environment, and that foundation of those original tools, we called it Sacred Light Foundations. Really, that was a very accurate name because those became the foundation of everything that we have created in the last decade.
Instrumental, absolutely instrumental to everything that's evolved, not, in our work together, but also our work individually. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And, the modalities that we have individually look a little different and
Mm-hmm.
feel different. And that's why when we come together, it's so interesting, right? Because we really started with those just couple of tools, like you said, that are
Yeah.
now sacred light tools. And then we continued there a little bit, but then we really went our separate ways again, right? And I've got the more that really body health focused. I've got that really kind of more earthy energy, right? And you went into the realm of, more cosmic and galactic and emotions. And well, you talk about you, but and then we come back together again, really with sacred, with some co-create with technologies, but then also what's become sacred light levels 2, 3, 4, 5, these like full on, collaborations again. But it's like we had to kind of, just like that 7 years, like parting,
Yeah.
we had to kind of go over here and really tap into what we each individually bring and
Yeah.
are here to bring. And
Yeah. We really needed to develop our own strengths and ways of doing things. So you did that with energetic allergy healing, which is much more of a system oriented method. And I started receiving energy packets, which became Sacred Soul Alignment. I talked a little bit about that on my last episode, where I was just receiving full, intact, at the time I was calling them activations until I decided to distinguish myself and call them alignments. Very, very different energetics, right? A system of step-by-step process that you're doing with the energetic allergy healing, and then alignments, which are energy packets that you're just receiving and running as that packet of energy. And both of those things come together in Sacred Light. In 2018, we started working with Sacred Light Technologies and created our first real course that we taught together, Co-Creating Miracles with Sacred Light. The Sacred Light foundations we used to include in our individual modalities because they're fundamental and important. But Co-Creating Miracles with Sacred Light was our Sacred Light Technologies. We had 8. Now we have how many? I don't even know how
I don't
many we
know. I
over.
think there's more than 50.
Yeah, over. I was going to say 55, somewhere
Yeah,
around there,
it's
that
in that
we have
ballpark.
received since 2018.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, we had a very undeniably strong, I don't even know what the word is, urge, pull, desire, mission to bring out some activation style tools that were so necessary and so needed for the time during the pandemic. And that's where we started teaching, Sacred Lights levels 2 through 5, which are activation style tools, which are combinations of all of these things.
Hmm.
So when we talk about Sacred Light tools are combinations of energetic allergy healing, spiritual technologies, and sacred soul alignments. And we had to go and develop our own thing before we could bring it all together. Again, it's kind of like learning the alphabet before you learn to read. You need all the components and you need them to be very well dialed in and then you can
Yeah.
bring them together. So that's where
Hmm.
we are today with our, well, not quite, we're not quite up to date, but that's, where this path has led us with Sacred Light. And to bring
Hmm.
us fully up to date, we have just opened the doors to something that we've been working on for 3 years, and really what we've been working on for a decade, I feel like, is our Co-Creating Miracles Academy.
Yeah.
When we first started doing healing work and getting the idea, hey, maybe we're supposed to do this with other people. Maybe it's not just for you and I and our kids. What would it look like if we could actually work with other people? Way back then, over a decade ago, we had the idea of having an in-person place for people to come and receive healing. So that vision goes all the way back there.
It
And this is
does.
our answer to that, virtually, so that anyone, anywhere in the world, can be a part of the Co-Creating Miracles Academy.
And I'm so grateful for, really the technology that's made that possible. There's always pros and cons to all the things, right? Modern living. But that's really what's made that possible.
Yeah,
And now we have practitioners and we have clients that are all over the world. So the pandemic
yeah,
really put us in that, in that trajectory to make that possible. So
it really did. When we started taking healing courses, we'd have to travel to a different state and
yeah.
go and take those classes in person. It never occurred to us, just because it wasn't happening, that you could do this online, like reach potentially millions of people.
Let's talk about just for a little second about how our individual modalities also support each other. Like, because here we've been talking about our best friendshipness, right? Our BBF, our BFFness, right? And how when one person is down, the other person's there to hold
Yeah.
and support and lift up, right? And our modalities are literally a reflection of the very same thing because they are different from each other's. My modality was really driven by wanting to feel good. My physical body, born with a lot of health issues, never felt good. I won't even go into all the depths and all the things about that. But that was what I was seeking. Um, and also, just a little footnote on that, if I would have stayed in the religion, part of that screaming to get out was I couldn't focus on anything that any of these types of concepts of working with the energy systems of the body to heal, to be a healer. That was a no-no. That was not something that you could do and still be a part of that religion even. So a little side note on that one, part of that big scream. But when so that was my driving force. And then my daughters were born with some similar issues, a lot of gut stuff, and sick all the time. Just all these things were going on. And that was a really big driving force. And I just wanted to feel good. And then I learned about allergies. I learned how they affect us in the body. I learned how they're the root of inflammation, which is the root of disease. And, so that was my sort of individual driving force. And Elysia, I know she'd do better talking about it than me, but just what's your driving force?
Yeah, my driving force has been emotions,
Yeah.
my emotional state. So basically what that means is what gets your attention. When something's off in your life, does your attention, what knocks you out of, okay, I need to do something different? Is it your body screaming at you, or is it how you feel emotionally? For me, it's how I feel emotionally. And if I'm in emotional pain, I want to do something about it. I want to change
Pronto.
it.
Yeah.
And so
Pronto.
that was my driving force. And I shared in my last episode about how I had discovered all these things about my husband and was finally
Oh,
facing the type of marriage that I was in.
yeah.
And I was angry. I talked about how I was consumed with anger. That's what got my attention. that's what made me wake up. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be
Mm.
an angry mom, so that was
Yeah.
my driving force is emotions.
Yeah. And so here we are with our focuses. Do you heal the body when you focus on the emotional states and the different patterns that go with that? Of course you do. When you work on what's creating inflammation in the body and what's creating allergies, are you healing also emotional states and those the density or dense patterns? Of course you are. So one is more maybe directly working right here, like physical. The other is working over here in the energy systems and the other bodies, right? And when you bring those together, oh my goodness, right? Again, a perfect marriage, so to speak,
Yeah.
a perfect partnership. And there's so many times when I've gone through things, and Elysia she's my emergency call, right?
Yeah.
She's my on emergency dial, right? And she'll have the tools that I'm needing in that moment. And then when she's going through something, then I may have some tools and she, needs me to run those for her, or, bring those to the table for her. And then that's really what has become Sacred Light, right? Is that partnership of all the things we hold and have created together. So it's really an amazing little story we have here.
It
And
really
it's
is. And it brings, just talking about all of this stuff all at once, we've lived it for 37 years or however long since we've been friends. Um, but talking about it sort of all in one chunk really makes me realize how much of a soul contract. I mean, we know we have a soul contract, but how much
for
we
real.
really decided before we ever came into this incarnation that this is what we're going to do together. And I don't think we even had a choice in it. Not that we ever tried not to do it, but this is what we came here
Yeah.
to do, on a large scale.
Yeah.
And we are thrilled and honored to be able to get to do this together and with the community that comes into our world. We have the best community that we could ask for. The best
They're
people are in
they're
our world.
precious. Precious.
Well, that's you.
Precious
If you're
community.
listening, if you're listening to this, you are precious, and we love each and every one of you.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so we're thankful. So let's talk a little bit about the Co-Creating Miracles Academy and what that is about.
Okay. Wow. Well, it's kind of where it all comes together.
It is exactly where it all comes together. Yeah. So right now, we have two pathways in this academy. So this is for you if you are one of our practitioners. This is also for you if you're somebody who wants to experience all of these amazing tools that we've created separately and together on a consistent, regular basis. So
Mm.
the first pathway is called the Pathway to Healing. It is a monthly healing call with both of us. And we choose the topic based on the needs and desires of our community. Right now, we have our first call, whether you're listening to this when I first bring it out or later in time, our first official call is October 29th, 2025. And that's going to be a really spectacular call. We already have one call in there called Freedom from False Identities. And we're actually going to be doing a little bit of the work that we did during that workshop for you here live in just a couple of minutes. But this is really a place for you to have consistent healing. And we're building a living library of healing. Every month, we'll be doing a new workshop that will go in the library of the academy that we're on the platform that we use to host all of that. And you'll have access to all of that as long as you are a member of the academy. So you can go over time. We're just starting this now, but over time, you'll be able to go into that library no matter what it is that you're struggling with. There will be something there to support you. And all of our upcoming calls will be literally based on the people that are in the academy. So if you join us now and you continue on, you're going to be getting really curated healing calls and have access to all of those recordings. So that's our vision for supporting people doing the healing work in the world that we came here to do. And I'm going to let you share a little bit about the pathway to mastery.
Well, I still want to say something about the pathway to healing because all of this is our dream, not just our dream for those who feel called to it, but our dream for ourselves. All those hard things you've heard Elysia talk about in her first podcast, all the things we've kind of barely grazed the surface on here together that might give you a little bit of an idea, though, some of the things that we've been through. To have consistent monthly, support, powerful healing workshops with the kinds of tools that we do. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I just can't even imagine what it would be like for us, back then to have something like this available to us. And even though, yes, it functions as a membership, right? So there is a monthly um, cost to being a part of it. It's affordable for many people. Maybe not everybody still, but it's affordable for many people. And that's also important to both of us, is to make healing accessible. We do a lot of things for free. Both of us have together, separately, doing what we can to support those who don't have the means, right? We do a lot of that and have done a lot of that, and that'll never really go away, right? So this is an incredible container of support and healing, consistently being held in a powerful container where you're still processing and supported through processing and integrating and going deeper in between our monthly workshops. It's not even about, oh, you just come in here once a month and you grab this and then you wait 30 more days and then, oh, you grab the next thing. You are held in a space powered by the technologies that we work with. And they're anchored into your energy systems right from the start, creating that really powerful and needed experience of just going deeper and deeper. And it's not just about what's getting cleared all the time and what's getting processed out. It's also about the incredible frequencies that are also housed in that container. They're part of that field that is the container, that is source light, source love, compassion, frequency, and so much more, joy frequency, to also help you feel or to navigate life on the daily, basically. Feeling uplifted even while you move maybe through some really hard things. And then to be surrounded in a community of people that are just like you, seekers, searchers, light workers, transformers, all, in one space, also amplifying healing for everyone and holding everyone's holding everyone kind of in this
Yeah.
container, but in the best way, not in the heavy way. Okay.
No, no.
In the best
The,
way.
yeah, the kind of support that feels good to give and receive.
Yeah.
Not,
And,
not a heavy.
when we wanted all that needed healing and we didn't have all the tools yet, and we were, looking for healers to have sessions with, for us, because we needed the support. We couldn't hardly afford it.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford it at all, or not nearly afford what we actually needed. So this is a lot of all of that in
Yeah.
one community space
Yeah. And it's really, we don't do private sessions, either one of us. We
anymore.
take a couple
Yeah.
of clients a year for the whole year, and that's it. So this is really the very next best thing. And you get both of us every month.
Yep.
So that's the pathway to healing. And then
Yay.
we have a second pathway for our practitioners, and this is called the pathway to mastery. And in this pathway, you get the pathway to healing included, And then you also get another monthly workshop where we're actually teaching you how to use all of the various tools across the modalities. We do demonstrations, we answer any of your questions, and then we also are attuning you to brand new tools um, as they come up. We've had 3 calls so far in the pathway to mastery, and I think we have 5 or 6 new tools that we've attuned our students to already. So these are new sacred light tools. Some of them will be energetic allergy healing. Some of them will be sacred soul alignment for the practitioners that are certified in those modalities. You'll get those. And it's everything that we dreamed of, that we wished we had as we were trying to learn and grow and figure out how to work with clients and figure out, how to use the tools that we just learned, so we took so many classes, we get these tools, but then what? Like there was no support after that. There was no training on how to use them, what to do when you come up against, XYZ issue with yourself or with a client. I say
Yeah.
yourself because at least half of our practitioners are just doing this work for themselves, but they're getting
Yeah.
certified so that they can have the tools to use for themselves and their families. It's much more of a economic investment to admit in all the ways to invest in receiving the training and the tools for yourself than to go and have a healing session. You could maybe have 3 sessions in what it would cost you to get certified in the whole modality. And then you have those tools, and not that you'll never need somebody else's eyes on, your issue, but it's life-changing to have those for yourself.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to say about that? And we're going to give you guys an experience with some of these tools that we've created together.
No, I mean, it's just that, wherever you're at on your path in your life, the Academy has a place for you. So that will meet you, right where you are, and not just meet you where you are, but help bring you to your next place, the next place
Yeah.
that you're going to be also.
That
So
place
much
that your
support.
heart knows is possible that we talked about earlier. Sometimes we know something more is possible, something better
Yeah.
is possible. We just don't know how to get there.
Hmm.
This is the roadmap.
Well, no, and also too, like you were talking about economical and um, versus private sessions. And so there's that piece. And then there's also the piece that so many of our practitioners, kind of across the modalities, in various kind of formats that we've provided for like practice sessions and stuff, so that you're getting really good with your new tools, right? Practical application. Um, have formed incredible partnerships, friendships, connections where you now have practice buddies. And guess what that means, right? There's someone there that you can SOS, just like me and Elysia do for each other, right? So many friendships have been forged in our kind of practice and practitioner communities, and that's only going to increase. I'm just talking about individual, certification trainings, but within the academy, there is a really beautiful, dedicated practice practice opportunities, and for you to really have those connections and the opportunities to do that, not just practice, but find those really aligned practice partners. And that's just invaluable, because then you've got that phone a friend, phone a
Yeah.
friend when you need it. You've got someone you can reach out to when you feel like you just can't see the root of an issue that you're working on. Maybe you're too emotionally close to something, which happens to all of us, for all of us. And um, we all need that person or persons. Sometimes the saying it takes a village. Well, we have a village. we,
That's true. Yeah, we
we
do.
have we have
We're
a
the best
village,
village.
and the
Yeah.
village is growing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a really special places to be a part of,
Yeah.
whichever pathway.
And if this is piquing your curiosity, we'll put the link to the Academy in the show notes as well. So thank you for being my first podcast guest.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad to be here. I feel so honored, so excited. So thank you for
So
having
now we're going to do what we love to do most, which is a little bit of healing. So
me.
as promised, at the end of every episode, you're going to receive a short healing. This will be probably 7 to 10 minutes long. Please don't listen if you're driving. Come back and return to this when you're not driving.
And also, I would just say, just know up front that we're going to be using some names of things. You're not going to recognize some of these names, or might not know, what all is in a tool that we're working with, or what all a technology that we're working with is doing. We're not taking the time to go into all of that here, but just relax into your body. Alicia's going to really help you with that piece before we dive in. And just know that your higher self knows what to do with everything that's streaming in for you, as we move through this healing.
Beautiful. And you can return to the healing part of this and listen to this again over and over if you would like to. So I'm just going to guide us into a short meditation just to get connected and grounded. So wherever you are, just taking a moment to begin to relax, closing your eyes if you're able to, and just calling in all of your awareness into this present moment, placing your focus and attention on your heart, and just begin to breathe through your heart slower and deeper, allowing your breath to come to a count of about 5, inhaling for a count of 5, and exhaling for a count of 5. And just becoming aware of a beautiful pink light surrounding you. This is the energy of compassion. And just begin to breathe that pink light of compassion into your heart, allowing this energy to fill and expand your heart. And now becoming aware of the heart-to-heart connections between your heart and the heart of Gaia, and your heart and the heart of creation. And just see, feel, or imagine the beautiful golden light in the heart of Gaia and the glorious iridescent light in the heart of creation. And as you're breathing through your heart, just begin to simultaneously breathe that golden light from Gaia and iridescent light from the heart of creation into your heart, allowing those lights to merge with the pink light of compassion, creating a beautiful iridescent rose gold light, allowing that light to expand your heart, expanding throughout your physical body, beyond your physical body, going about 12 feet out in all directions, creating a beautiful ball of iridescent rose gold light that you are in the center of. And just noticing how loved, nurtured, and safe you feel in this space. And from within this space, taking a moment to feel into the heart-to-heart connection between your human aspect and your divine aspect, the highest aspect of you that's guiding you through your human experience. And if it feels right to you, allowing your human aspect to merge with your divine aspect. And through that merge, allowing yourself to expand infinitely, expanding all the way to the heart of creation, expanding all the way into the quantum field where all potential and possibility exists. Good. Kim's going to get us started with some healing here.
Okay, good. And just before we step deep into the healing here, I just want to ask a couple of questions just to bring up what within you is ready to clear, right? What you're ready to release, let go of today in this moment through this healing. So, what are you holding that is keeping you small or holding you back in your life in some way that you're ready to let go of today? What roles are you playing out in your life that are heavy, outdated, or misaligned with who you are on a soul level or who you're becoming? Just relax into your heart, into your breath. Just allow whatever is coming up for you to do just that, because we're going to clear it. Any false identities, roles, masks that are ready to come off, that are ready to move out of your energy. Good, so we're going to start with some technologies here to support the clearing and the healing process here. So in Divine Love and Light, install, activate, and anchor the relationship healing chamber. Just bringing this in, anchoring this in. And within this healing chamber, this is a technology, we are running a couple of relationship tools here in Divine Love and Light, running Sacred Light Relationship Healing and healing and integrating the shadow self, and running these for you with all of these roles, these identities, these parts of you that are coming up, that you're ready to lay down, take off, disconnect from, so that you can anchor yourself more kind of firmly into sovereign authenticity, right? The truth of who you are. Beautiful. Just anything that's coming up for you. You may be experiencing memories. You might see flashes of people. Different emotions might be coming up for you. Just relaxing into your breath, allowing all to be cleared. And now we're going to run the deep relationship healing for you with the priority person, place, or event that has or is still keeping you stuck or bound in these roles today. Okay, running this for you now. Just allowing your higher self to guide the healing for you to that perfect, most optimal relationship that's kind of keeping you bound or stuck in roles that aren't serving you. Do I love a light, creator, change it? Beautiful. And now activating the Sacred Light Transfiguration device, excavation technology, the extractor, vacuum, Sacred Light Scythe, Sacred Light Magnet, Sacred Light Unravel, Dissolve, and Disconnect. Really powerful technologies here coming into your energy systems to unravel, clear, dissolve, and disconnect from these false roles, these false identities, the inherited expectations that no longer resonate. They may have once protected you, and now you're done, right? They're no longer serving you. Just feeling these technologies come in, releasing all to the light. Just allowing yourself to breathe. Well, these technologies and tools do all the heavy lifting. Just knowing it's being perfectly orchestrated, all that you're receiving by your own higher aspects of self.
Good. Well, all of that, all of those technologies are working. All of that energy is running for you. I'm going to bring in Sacred Light Thyroid Truth Activator. Calling this in now, Divine Love and Light, Creator Change It. This is working to clear suppression, fear, unworthiness that is tied to self-expression and truth. Where you're holding this in your throat, in your thyroid, or any of your energy systems. This is also restoring confidence, clarity, and the safety to speak and live your truth. As all of these false identities, masks are falling away, just allowing the truth of who you are to activate within you. Also going to bring in another technology here, Sacred Light Heart to Heart, and also Sacred Soul Symbol Connect, to help you deepen your connection with your true, divine, authentic self. So Divine Love and Light activating Heart to Heart and the Connect symbol between your human aspect and your true, divine, authentic self, so that they can be one and the same. And just feeling that divine nature, your authentic nature, strengthening within you. And we're going to finish with some spoken affirmation. So we invite you to place a hand on your heart and your other hand on your solar plexus, just below your belly button. And repeat after me. If you're able to speak this out loud, it will be very powerful. And just as you speak these words, allowing them to vibrate through every cell of your being. I release all false identities, masks, and roles that no longer serve my highest truth. I reclaim my sovereign right to exist, express, and create from my authentic self. And just taking a couple of deep breaths here to seal in this reclamation of your divine, authentic self, and feeling the light of your true essence anchoring into your heart, into every cell of your body, and all the way down into the earth. And we're going to anchor this in with Sacred Light Close and Divine Love and Light, Creator Change It. Good. If your eyes are closed, you can go ahead and open your eyes when you're ready. And that was just a little taste of some of the work that we've created together, some of the work that we did recently in our Freedom from False Identities Masterclass, which is inside the vault of our Co-Creating Miracles Academy.
Mm-hmm. And if you're feeling that, there's more that is part of that workshop. too.
A lot more. Yeah, that
Hmm.
was just a tiny, tiny bit. So
And I
thank
was
you.
feeling it, just
I was
saying.
too. I was really too. And we've
And
done all this.
also, have you talked about the all the yawning? Because I'm like over
No, I
here.
haven't shared about that. I was thinking about that as we were doing this. So if you are new to working with either one of us, you may have noticed it in my previous healing that I did. We use our breath to process and anchor and transfer the healing. So you'll hear us yawning and sighing a lot, both of us and a lot of our practitioners, and that's what's happening there. I've had people say, "Wow, you must sure be tired," and it's not that. It's that we all have the ability to use our breath for processing energy, but we have it amplified, and so um, you will see that happening in all of our work.
Yes, thought that might be good to mention if you have new people to
Anybody who stumbled
you
upon
watching.
us, this has been episode 2 of the Sacred Hour. And if you loved this, please consider following the podcast. You can leave me a comment. I would love it so much. And you can find more about the Co-Creating Miracles Academy in the links in the show notes. So have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Much love, and bye for now.